This lesson is one I've used in my grade 9 essential stream. It's one of the first lessons of a unit that involves studying the graphic novel The Secret Path by Gord Downie and Jeff Lemire. As the unit progresses, we begin a study on reconciliation where we examine global, national, and personal examples of reconciliation. Throughout this unit, we use the principles of knowledge building, some of which include every idea is a good idea, every idea can be improved, all of us have more knowledge together than any one of us, and asking powerful questions helps us work with real ideas and authentic problems. This lesson will focus on a close reading of the first song on The Secret Path called The Stranger. Because it's a graphic novel, we spend time with the images and the text. Students' authentic questions of the text will help us do a close reading. The aim is to help students see the value of their questions because their questions guide our learning. Later, we will discuss how to build upon and improve their questions. Prior to this lesson, students will have looked at the images in Chapter 1, taken sticky notes, and written questions they have about this chapter down, and they'll stick them to the pages of the novel. So to begin this lesson, I would read The Stranger out loud to the class as they follow along with their copy. The beginning of the poem or song reads like much of the rest of the poem. It goes, I'm a stranger, you can't see me. I'm a stranger. Do you know what I mean? I navigate the mud, I walk above the path, jumping to the right, then I jump to the left. On a secret path, the one that nobody knows, and I'm moving fast on the path that nobody knows. When I'm done reading, I ask them to get their sticky notes and ask questions of the song. Some of the questions that come up are, who's the stranger? What is the secret path? Why is he a stranger? Is the raven the stranger? Why do the colors in the pictures change from gray to color? As the students continue to examine the text, inevitably someone asks, why is stanza 7 different from the rest? This is a real and authentic question that we explore as a class. Stanza 7 reads, that is not my dad. My dad is not a wild man. Doesn't even drink. My daddy's not a wild man. This stanza doesn't really seem to fit with the rest of the song, and the questions the students have asked is why. We read the stanza again as a class. Why is it different? We discover that, well, it's different because this is the first time anyone else is mentioned in the poem. The stranger's dad is mentioned. And he's defending his dad, talking about his dad isn't wild. He doesn't even drink. We look at the vocabulary. What does he call his father? He calls him dad or daddy. So what do we learn about the relationship between the stranger, who's Channy Wenjack, and his father by the use of the words dad and then later daddy? Students suggest that if you call your dad daddy, you like them. You have a good relationship with them. They also say it shows how young Channy is, because usually younger kids call their daddy dad, daddy. Then we look at the images. Many of the students have asked questions regarding the color choice in the graphics. We examine the images that relate to dad. We examine the colors and see what the colors have to do with stanza 7. The scenes used with Channy's dad are bright and colorful, and it shows them fishing together. Now, often students will notice that the colors used to depict the father or priest figure at the residential school are blues and grays, and the father or priest cuts off Channy's hair. Students then determine that Channy must have been sad at the residential school and happy with his dad. This leads us back to discussing the use of the word dad. Because the word father would have been used to describe the priest at the residential school, Channy wouldn't have used it to describe his dad. His dad isn't a wild man. Usually I ask the question then, why does Channy need to say that his dad isn't a wild man? Students answer this question with suggestions and questions of their own. Maybe because he was taken to residential school, because the priest thought his dad was a wild man. They thought he was an alcoholic. Then we examine the text further. I or a student will ask, where is Channy going? We determine that because Channy is walking on the secret path, he's probably thinking to himself as he walks. Stanza 7 could be his mind wandering to thoughts of home. If he is thinking about walking, and then out of nowhere in stanza 7 begins talking about his dad, Where do we think Channy's headed? They suggest Channy's probably headed home to be with his dad. The students' questions help guide us in a close reading of the stranger and accompanying images. The purpose of this lesson, then, is to help students see how their questions can help us solve authentic problems, and how all of us together are more knowledgeable than any one of us. Students are generally engaged because they feel like detectives solving a mystery in the text. The questioning is really led by them. For the remainder of the lesson, students would then continue to use sticky notes to ask questions of the text and graphics. In our next lesson, we would learn how to take these questions and improve upon our ideas with the use of this question chart. We learn that asking questions helps us gain knowledge. It can also allow us to analyze and synthesize that knowledge. We can add or change some of the words of our questions to gain a deeper understanding and to transfer that knowledge to our own lives. For example, who is Gord Downie? This is knowledge surface learning. Often I say to my students, if you can Google it, it gives us knowledge. If we change this question to, why did Gord Downie write The Secret Path? It allows us to analyze beyond the surface. How would Gord Downie's story make a difference? This is making a prediction. It's taking us a little bit deeper. And then if we change the words finally to how might we make a difference, then we're synthesizing and transferring our knowledge to our own experiences. So that's the lesson. I hope that you found it interesting and engaging too. Thanks.